Hi everyone, I'm Judy and this is Judy's Take. So today I wanted to watch some of the Axios interview with Trump. A lot of my friends have not wanted to watch it just because he's so ridiculous. And so I kind of just wanted, to watch it for a little bit and kind of give you some of my reactions to it, give you my take on it. So this should be fun. And just to let you know, I've only watched about 5 or so minutes, only because they played it on CNN or something. And but other than that, I haven't actually watched it. So please pray for me. All right. So I don't know if you guys can see it, but okay. Spiffy. I wish I knew how to do those types of graphics. And this dude's face through the whole thing is like so funny. The reporter, the journalist. At least from what I've seen. Alright, come on. Blah, 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 blah.
This is the mantra that...
Okay, here he is. Mr. President. Who actually says that? Does anyone actually call him president?
Okay. Mr. President, thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much.
We appreciate you taking the time.
Good.
And we appreciate your commitment to answer our questions.
Sure.
We really appreciate that. Over the years, I've heard you talk about your adherence to a philosophy called positive thinking. This is the mantra that if you believe something, if you visualize it, then it will happen.
To an extent, I also think in terms of the downside.
Right.
I've been given a lot of credit for positive thinking, but I also think about downside, because only a fool doesn't.
To what extent do you think that positive thinking mindset is suitable to handling the worst pandemic that we've seen in a century?
I think you have to have a positive outlook, otherwise you would have nothing without a positive outlook. I think we've done an incredible job between the ventilators and stopping very infected people from China coming in, meaning putting the ban on China, which frankly nobody wanted me to do, practically nobody, because it was very early in January. Then putting the ban on Europe, not an easy thing to do. When you put a ban on Europe, that's a big thing. We would have...
And now they pretty much put a ban on us.
Probably lost hundreds of thousands of lives more had I not done that. And all of the experts, every one of them, not one of them wanted to do it. They thought it was too severe.
And at the same time that he did it, he was saying it was a hoax.
3 months later, they're all saying, I'm glad you did it.
The criticism of you that is most prominent is about the communication. Is the public health experts saying that it needs to be based in reality? And they're saying that the wishful thinking and the salesmanship is just not suitable at a time when a pandemic has killed 145,000 Americans. And it's that I understand what you're saying, that people need to hear positive thinking. But, for the past 5 months, it's been the virus is totally under control. And the cases have been going up and the deaths have been going up.
Look.
But you've been saying it's under control.
Nobody knew what this thing was all about. This has never happened before. 1917.
He's like, hold on. Don't repeat the things that I've said, okay? Just that's basically what he's doing.
But it was a totally different... It was a flu in that case, okay? But other than 1917, there's never been anything like this. And by the way, if you watch the fake news on television, they don't even talk about it. But there are 188 other countries right now that are suffering, some proportionately far greater than we are, okay? As bad as we are.
Very few.
Some proportionately greater than we are right now.
Yeah, they're called third world countries.
Right now, Spain is having a big spike. There are tremendous problems in the world. You look at Moscow.
They actually got it under control though the first time, and now they're hitting their second waves. And we're still on our first.
Look at what's going on with Moscow. Look at Brazil. Look at these countries, what's going on. This was sent to us by China, one way or the other.
China.
And we're never going to forget it. Believe me, we're never going to forget it. And we were beating China at every single point. We were beating them on trade. We were making progress like nobody's ever made progress. They had, before the pandemic, they had the worst year, Jonathan, that they've had in 67 years. You know that, with the tariffs and everything else I did. We were taking in billions of dollars. I was giving some of it to the farmers. The farmers were doing well because they were targeting.
You know why he's mentioning farmers, right? He's hoping to gain their support still, because he's seen that the numbers for them have also been leaving him. So
the farmers, I was targeting China. We were doing good. Then all of a sudden the game changed and I had to close it down. I closed down the greatest economy ever in history. And then I closed it down, and now we're opening it. And we saved, by the way, by closing it down, we saved millions of lives. If we would have gone the herd, and we knew very little about the disease, if we would have gone herd, we would have lost millions of people, millions of people. One person's too much. We're at 140,000 people. One person is too much. We're at 140. We would have lost millions of people. And those people that really understand it,
hold on. Wasn't this guy just saying, him and all the people from Fox News, weren't they just telling, the older crowd, take one for the team? Weren't they just saying, or take one for the economy? Weren't they just saying, like, well, they're old and they're going to die anyways? I believe so. And I believe that it was them who actually sat there and said that, well, only a few thousand children are going to die. Yeah. They don't really care, by the way. That's the point I'm trying to make. But it sounds good, right?
They said it's incredible, the job that we've done. And again, I bring it up.
Who says that?
The banning China from coming in.
I like how he does that. Who's they?
It was already in here. It was already here. Like, by the time you banned China, it came in through Europe.
Nobody knew the extent. Nobody knew how contagious it was.
But the question is, Mr. President,
maybe China knew.
By June, we knew things were bad. And, the last time I was with you was the day before your Tulsa rally in the Oval. And, you were saying big, huge crowd. It was in...
The Tulsa rally where his friend Herman Cain most likely got the Rona and died for being stupid.
Indoors.
By the way,
these people, they listen to you.
Excuse me, Jonathan.
Yeah.
We had a 19,000 seat stadium. First of all, we had 12,000 people, not 6,000.
First of all, we had 12,000.
But you couldn't even get...
You remember how they were bragging though that they had 850 people RSVP. It was gonna be so packed. Yeah, they tricked your ass.
It was like an armed camp.
Why would you have wanted that?
120
Go young
Black
people.
Lives Matter people.
I understand, but why would you have wanted a huge crowd?
Excuse me, wait. And Tulsa,
excuse me, wait.
Well, because that area was a very good area.
Let me keep lying.
It was an area that was pretty much over. After a month later, it started going up. That's a month later. But Tulsa was a very good. Oklahoma was doing very well as a state. It was almost free. It spiked a month later, month and a half, 2 months later, but it was a good area. We had a tremendous crowd. We had tremendous response. You couldn't even, it was like an armed camp. You couldn't even get through. You couldn't get anybody in.
But
we had 12,000 people. It was incorrectly reported. The other thing we had that nobody wants to talk about, so Fox broadcast it. It was the highest rating in the history of Fox television, Saturday night. It was the highest rating.
Mr. President.
My speech, well, wait a minute, you're saying something.
Yeah.
That speech was the highest rated speech in the history of Fox television on Saturday night. And nobody says
I
that.
think you misunderstand me. I'm criticizing your ability to draw a crowd. Are you
Well,
kidding me?
I'm
I've
just
covered you
saying
for
that
5 years. You draw massive
I'm just
crowds. You
saying
get huge
this.
ratings. I'm asking about the
At the
public
time,
health.
and I canceled another one. I had to cancel it.
Right.
I have a great crowd in New Hampshire, and I canceled it for the same reason.
But here's the question. I've covered you for a long time. I've gone to your rallies. I've talked to your people. They love you. They listen to you. They listen to every word you say. They hang on your every word. They don't listen to me or the media or Fauci. They think we're fake news. They want to get their advice from you. And so when they hear you say everything's under control, don't worry about wearing masks, I mean, these are people, many of them are older people,
What's
Mr.
your
President.
definition of control? Yeah, under the...
Isn't that what I said in my videos, you guys, if you follow me? That if this guy would have, from the beginning, and he could still do it now, but if he would have just told his people, take this seriously, wear a mask, social distance, sanitize, blah, 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 all that stuff, you probably would have seen the Trump supporters probably be like the number one advocates for stopping this pandemic. That's the laughable, sad truth about it. And he could do it now. He could do it now, but he's not going to. He really, really thinks that doubling down on his madness is going to get him elected. And he knows he's in hot water. So he's going to do what he does, hoping that it works like it has. But he's also, if you notice, he's also trying to walk the line a little bit. You know what I'm saying? He's like, oh no, I care. Oh, one life, just one life is too many. You know, and it's probably just to be able to have those little snippets play on Fox News, play on other conservative media, so they can be like, look, he said one life is too many. What are you libtards talking about? You guys are so hateful. You guys have deranged Trump syndrome. Yeah, that's what they're probably gonna say. But anyways, everybody else sees the deal here, that he has a lot more power over people and he uses it for bad instead of good.
It's giving them a false sense
right
of security.
Now, I think it's under control. I'll tell you what.
How? 1,000 Americans are dying a day.
They are dying. That's true. And it is what it is. But that doesn't mean
It is what it
doing
is.
everything we can. It's under control as much as you can control it. This is a horrible plague that beset us.
You really think this is as much as we can control?
That's why he said stop the
Well,
testing,
I'd
right?
like to know if somebody, first of all, we have done a great job. We've gotten the governors everything they needed. They didn't do their job. Many of them didn't, and some of them did. Someday we'll sit down. We'll talk about the successful ones, the good ones. Look at that smile. The good ones and the bad. We had good and bad, and we had a lot in the middle. But we had some incredible governors. I could tell you right now who the great ones are and who the not-so-great ones are.
The
But
not-so-great
governors
ones.
do it. We gave them massive amounts of material.
Mr. President, you changed
This
your
dude
message
has a
this
small
week
vocabulary.
in terms of you cancelled the Jacksonville Convention. You said wear a mask. You're saying, that it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's not something you like to say. I know you said that. The big question...
Not get worse like the original flow. You understand that. But
Well, I hope not. It's 1,000.
now if you look, Arizona's going down.
If I could just finish my question.
Texas is going down and Florida's going down.
The question is, are you going to, even some of your own aides wonder whether you would stick to that message until election day, whether in a week or two you won't say, right, we've got to reopen again, we can't do this stuff anymore, that you'll get bored of talking about the virus and go back to that sort of cheerleading?
I never get bored of talking about this. It's too big a thing. And again,
So will you
it could
stick to
have
that
been
message?
stopped by China. It should have been stopped
He's
by
not
China.
gonna stop.
And it wasn't.
But now it's here.
We have
You're the
it
president.
here. And I think I'm
You're the
very
leader.
consistent. No, this is a very serious thing. Do you think we have 140,000 people at this moment?
More
This is
than
a
that.
very, very
Yeah.
serious situation. And what you have to do is handle it the best it can be handled. And again, I'm working with the governors. I got them tremendous amounts of equipment that they would have never gotten. Jonathan, they wouldn't have.
All right. So just on a local level, we have had testing, mobile testing sites, especially in the low-income minority communities here. And periodically, they've had to shut them down for lack of resources, for lack of tests. And literally, they just said that, I'm in Nebraska, by the way, in Omaha. And they just said that, when was it, today or yesterday, on the local news, that they need to shut it back down again because of lack of tests. Amazing that the closer the election gets, the more testing is lacking. You know, it's kind of like, you know, it's so stupid. Like they've been saying, or Trump has been trying to say, oh, you just have the high numbers because you're testing. And it's like, I think he says it on here. I think that journalist says it on here. You know, it's like the whole pregnancy test thing. You know, it's like, okay, so if I don't take a pregnancy test and I'm pregnant, I'm still going to be pregnant regardless. I don't know. He sounds desperate. I posted about this on my Facebook page, if you guys follow me. And you know what? It was funny to me because he sounds desperate. Like, everything that he's trying, you know, he just throwing everything out there, hoping that something sticks. And honestly, it's because he's desperate. He knows the reality of things. And, yeah. So, let's keep watching, I guess. This is starting to get, I understand, my friends. I usually don't watch all of him talking. But we have made it through 9 minutes. Can you believe that? Oh my God. That's like a record for me.
I have equipment now if I didn't get it.
When can you commit, by what date, that every American will have access to the same day testing that you get here in the White House?
Well, we have great testing. We're doing, and
By
many
what
other
date?
people do. Let me explain the testing. We have tested more people than any other country, than all of Europe put together times 2. We have tested more people than anybody ever thought of. India has 1.4 billion people. They've done 11 million tests. We've done 55. It'll be close to 60 million tests. And, you know, there are those that say, you can test too much. You do know that.
Who says
Here
that?
he goes. Here he
Just
goes.
read the manuals, read the books.
Manuals?
Read the books. Read the books.
What books?
What testing does?
No, I'm
is
sorry.
it shows- wait a minute.
Who said-
Let me.
Do you
let me
see
explain.
his face?
What testing does? It shows cases. It shows where there may be cases. Other countries test. You know when they test? They test when somebody's sick. That's when they test. And I'm not saying they're right or wrong. Nobody's done it like we've done it. We've gotten absolutely no credit for it. But we've come up with so many different tests. The only thing that we have now is some people have to wait longer than we'd like them to.
It's a big problem.
We want point to point. We want to have a 5-minute to a 15-minute
Right.
test.
When do
we
you think-
have, and like many others,
Every
from what I
American.
understand, we're close to 50% where it's point to point test. We are making thousands of instruments, thousands of tests right now, tens of thousands that can be distributed to various parts of the country. But you have to understand, and we've even sent some of them to other countries where they had a big problem. Jonathan, almost 50%, in fact, I think the number might be over, is immediate testing. The other's tough. You take a test, you have to send it to a laboratory. Let's say that takes a day. Let's say
Right.
it's a day.
It's difficult.
You know, so it's 3 or 4 or
understand.
5 days. There's nothing you do about that.
He still has not answered the damn question about when is everybody going to have easy access to testing.
When do you think we'll have it for
I
everyone?
think that you
What
will
day?
have that relatively soon. I mean, again,
What does that mean?
you already have
Relatively
half.
soon.
Yeah.
I would much rather get back to you because I don't
Okay.
want to have you
That's
write
fine.
in 1 month.
That's
I
fine.
didn't make it. I missed it by
Yeah,
a day,
I
and
get
it's
it.
a headline.
Mr. President, I want to talk about the federal intervention.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
one thing I would say about
Yeah.
testing. Because we test so much, we show cases. So we show many, many cases. We show tremendous number of, I know you're smiling when I say that.
No,
but
but
I'm
come on.
doing
I
it.
mean, I've heard you say this,
Other
but
countries don't test like we do, so they don't show cases.
just a couple of points on that. I wasn't going to continue on the testing, but you said it. So we're testing so much because it's spread so far in America.
We're testing so much because
He's like, I wasn't going to say anything, but damn, I need to address this because you just sound dumb right now. Let me break it down and let me make you look stupid. Which isn't hard to do, by the way, but...
we had the ability to test.
Okay,
because we came up with this.
South Korea...
Jonathan, we didn't even have a test. When I took over, we didn't even have a test. Now, in all fairness,
why would you have a test?
There was no test.
The virus
for
didn't
this.
exist. How would you
There was no test for this new. We didn't have a test because there was no test.
Of course.
In a very
Of course there wasn't a test. The virus didn't exist when he took over. This is just like the same stupid stuff that he keeps trying to do and trying to say that like supposedly Biden and Obama, you know, had the whole place in disarray and blah 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 blah. It's like, no dude, you're the one who freaking defunded or severely cut funding for the pandemic response. Okay, now you feel like a dumbass. Now you want to blame everyone else but you. And also you want that narrative out there because obviously you're in a race against Biden. So, which he's probably going to win. Hopefully. Get out there and vote.
short order, we got one test, we got another test.
It was broken the first
Many of those tests are now obsolete because we've, it's called science, and all of a sudden something's better.
It's called science.
Because we tested so many people, 55, 60 million people very soon, we get cases. You test, some kid has even just a little runny nose, it's a case. And then you report many cases. So we look like we have more cases than massive countries like China, which, by the way, doesn't report.
We actually have massive cases.
I don't put any stock in China's figures.
The point is, because we are so much better.
We actually have more cases than what we're reporting. We're actually under-reporting.
At testing than any other country in the world, we show more cases.
The figure I look at is death. And death is going up now.
Okay,
There's 1,000 a day.
If you look at death...
Yeah, it's going up
let's
again.
Let's look.
Daily death.
Take a look at some of these charts.
Oh, God,
I'd
the
love to.
charts.
We're going to look.
The charts.
And if you look at death...
It's started to go up
here's
again.
one. Well, right here, the United States is lowest in numerous categories. We're lower than the world.
Hold on.
Lower than
We're
the
lower
world.
than...
Alright, you have to look at this dude's face. It's so funny. He's like, what in the F are you talking about, dude? his face is priceless. It's, oh my God. Like, you have to watch this whole video just for the reporter's facial expression. He's like, you dumb motherfucker. Like, it's so funny.
What is that?
Europe?
In what?
Look.
In what?
Take a look. Right here. Here's case death.
Oh, you're doing death as a proportion of cases. I'm talking about death as a proportion of population. That's where the US is really bad.
Well,
Much worse than South Korea, Germany, etc.
you can't do that.
You can't do that.
You have to go by where, look.
You can't do statistics correctly. You have to be misleading.
Here is the United States. You have to go by the cases. The cases.
Why not as a proportion of
when we have
population?
somebody, what it says is when you have somebody that has it, where there's a case.
Oh, okay.
The people that live from those cases.
It's surely a relevant statistic to say if the US has X population and X percentage of death of that population versus
you
South
have to
Korea.
go by the cases.
Well, look at South Korea, for example. 51 million population, 300 deaths. It's like, it's crazy.
You don't know that.
I do. It's
You
not-
don't know that.
You think they're faking their statistics, South Korea?
I
An
won't get
advanced
into
country?
that because I have a very good relationship
Yeah.
with the country. But you don't know that. And they have spikes. Look, here's
Germany,
one.
low,
Here's
9,000.
This dude's face. Hold on. Just look at that face. Like, it's so hilarious. He's like, you dumbass. Like, how have you even made it this far in life being so dumb? Seriously, that's like the face he's making.
Here's one right here, United States. You take the number of cases. Okay. Now look, we're last, meaning we're first.
I don't know what we're first.
We're last,
Again, it's cases.
meaning we're first.
Okay.
And we have cases because of the testing.
1,000 Americans are dying a day, but I understand on cases it's
Look at
different.
his face, dude. He looks so desperate.
I think I am, but
If you take a look at this other chart, look, this is our testing, I believe. This is the testing, yeah.
yeah, we do more tests.
No, wait a minute. Well, don't we get credit for that? And because we do more tests, we have more cases. In other words, we test more. We have. Now take a look. The top one. That's a good thing, not a bad thing. The top, Jonathan.
If hospital rates were going down and deaths were going down, I'd say terrific. You deserve to be praised for testing, but they're all going
up. They very rarely.
60,000 Americans are in hospital.
If you watch the
1,000
news
dying
or
a
read
day.
the papers, they usually talk about new cases, new cases, new cases.
I'm talking about death.
When you look at
It's going
death,
up.
death is way down from where it was.
It's 1,000 a
Death.
day. It was 2,500. It went down to 500. Now it's going up
Death,
again.
excuse me, where it was is much higher than where it is right now.
It went down and it went up
spiked,
again.
But now it's going down again. It's going
going up.
down in Arizona. It's going down in Florida.
Nationally,
It's
it's
going
going
down in Texas. Take a look at this. These are the tests.
It's going down in Florida?
Yeah, it leveled out and it's going down. That's my report as of yesterday.
Anyway, Mr. President, if I could change subject.
It is going down in Arizona.
Arizona it is. Texas has big
spiked,
problems.
and it spiked, and it's now going down in Florida. It's even down and going down in Florida.
I'll have to see those.
But you have to look at this. This is the number of tests compared
I
to the
don't
rest
deny
of
your
the world.
figures. You've done more tests by far than the rest
Right.
of them. I don't deny that.
Because we've done more tests, we have more cases.
You have
can take
more
it,
infections.
check it out.
Mr. President, different subject. It's been widely reported that the US has intelligence indicating that Russia paid bounties or offered to pay bounties to Taliban fighters to kill American soldiers. You had a phone call with Vladimir Putin on July 23rd.
Oh, he's asking him about him being a traitor-ass bitch.
Did you bring up this issue?
No, that was a phone call to discuss other things, and frankly, that's an issue that many people said was fake news.
Who said it was fake news?
I think a lot of people, if you look at some of the wonderful folks from the Bush administration, some of them, not any friends of mine, were saying that it's a fake issue. But a lot of people said it's a fake issue.
There was dispute
We had a
within
call
intelligence.
talking about nuclear proliferation, which
Right.
is a very big subject, where they would like to do something and so would I. We discussed numerous things. We did not discuss that, no.
And you've never discussed it with him.
I have never discussed it with him, no. I would. I'd have no problem with it.
But you don't believe the
it
intelligence.
never
It's because
got-
you don't believe the intelligence. That's why.
Everything, it's interesting. Nobody ever brings up China. They always bring Russia, Russia, Russia. If we can do something with Russia in terms of nuclear proliferation, which is a
Right.
very big problem, bigger problem than global warming, a much bigger problem than global warming in terms of the real world, that would be a great thing.
But just-
It never reached my desk. You know why? Because they didn't think it was intelligence. They didn't think it was real.
It was in
They
your
didn't
written
think-
brief, though,
They
apparently.
didn't think it was worthy of. I wouldn't mind if it reached my desk. I would have done something about it. It never reached my desk because
Do you read your written brief?
I do. I
Do you?
read a lot.
Really?
You know, I read a lot. They like to say I don't read. I read a lot.
Your
I
daily intelligence
comprehend
brief?
extraordinarily well. Probably better than anybody that you've interviewed in a long time. I read a lot. I spend a lot of time with at meetings. Usually it's.
I just wanted to make a point on this. There's no way this dude didn't know about Russia putting a bounty on American soldiers' heads. Okay? Now, I was in the army, and so it's a lot more personal for me. And I know that a lot of people in the military are conservative. I was too once upon a time. That doesn't mean you have to blindly follow this guy. He literally knew that you guys were there was a bounty on your head. And yet, he continued to have a good relationship with Putin. And yet, he tried to, during that same time period, he tried to convince him to join the G8 or G9, whatever. And he hasn't had the balls to stand up to him and tell him, you don't do that. And then he even left the Kurds there on their own. It's exactly what Putin wanted. You mean to tell me that he's done everything that Putin has wanted him to do? And they've been in secret meetings where even the translator's notes are not allowed to be shared. And they've been, you mean to tell me that he didn't know any of this and he sits there in secret with it? He has given Putin already secrets. And he did know. He just didn't give a crap. That's why. I mean, it's just unfathomable to me that people can follow this guy, especially if you're in the military. You can follow this guy who now, for the last, 1.5 years? Because it was like the intelligence was brought at the beginning of 2019. So a year and a half. How many soldiers, how many service members died in that time frame? And how many of them were a direct result of Putin mingling? We'll probably never know. However, Trump knew what was going on, and he didn't care, and he doesn't care. If you think he does, you're not paying attention. He has gutted mental health. He has gutted healthcare. All the stuff that soldiers need, that military service members need, he has gutted. It's not all about just who you can cheer on. It's about long term. And it's just ridiculous. I'm not even going to get into that. But this dude knew. He's a traitor.
Once a day or at least 2 or 3 times a week intelligence.
Because this was apparently
talking about India, right. Talking about with the problems with China, talking about so many different elements of the world. Mm-hmm. The world is a very angry place. If you look all over the world, we call up, I see 22 soldiers were killed in India with China fighting over the border. It's been raging for many, many decades. And they've been fighting and back and forth. I have so many briefings on so many different countries, but this one didn't reach my desk.
Right.
The reason I say this is even if you don't believe this particular piece of intelligence, and there is dispute, no doubt there is dispute in the intelligence community about it, your former, John Nicholson, former head of forces in Afghanistan, said, and this is when he was working for you, that Russia is supplying weapons to the Taliban. Isn't that enough to challenge Putin over the killings of US soldiers?
Well, we supplied weapons when they were fighting Russia too. You know, when they were fighting with the Taliban in Afghanistan.
It's a different era.
Well, I'm just saying, yes.
But does that? How does that affect?
I'm just saying we did that too.
Do you hear what he's saying? He's saying, "Oh well, we supplied weapons to the Taliban." Yeah, once upon a time, you didn't supply weapons to the Taliban while they were shooting those weapons at U.S. soldiers, were you?
How does that?
I don't know.
He's literally justifying his little boyfriend Putin's actions against soldiers.
I didn't ask Nicholson about that. He was there for a long time, didn't have great success because, he was there before me and then ultimately...
And now smear the guy who provided this intelligence.
Yeah, I made a change.
But you surely heard that, right? I mean, it's well known in the intelligence community that they're arming the Taliban, Russia.
I don't know. When you say arming, is
Supplying
the Taliban
weapons.
paying or they?
Russia is supplying weapons and money to the Taliban.
I have heard that, but it's never it's never reached my desk.
I mean, he said it on the record when he was in.
How the hell can you hear something, but it never reach your desk? You either didn't hear about it, you're just hearing about it now, or you knew and you didn't care.
Hey, Russia doesn't want anything to do with Afghanistan. Let me just say about Russia. Russia used to be a thing called the Soviet Union. Because of Afghanistan, they went bankrupt. They became Russia, just so you do understand, okay? The last thing that Russia wants to do is get too much involved with Afghanistan. They tried that once. It didn't work out too well.
Last question on this subject.
And by the way, we're largely out of Afghanistan, as you probably know.
Well, wanted to ask you about that. The U.S. troop level in Afghanistan right now is roughly the same as it was when
No,
you...
you're wrong. No.
Mr. President, I'm sorry. We have to do...
Okay, are you ready?
No,
We'll be down in a very short... It's already planned.
Well, that's a different
Let me
question.
explain. We'll be down in a very short period of time to 8,000. Then we're going to be down to 4,000. We're negotiating right now. We've been there for 19 years.
I know.
19 years.
But if you just let me finish my
We'll
question.
be getting out.
I understand. Look, when you came in, it was 8,800. You boosted to 14,000, and now you're back down to 8,500.
We're now...
My question to
we'll
you...
be at 4,000. I'll give
When?
you the exact... Very soon. Very soon.
What will be the number? Very soon? 4,000?
Very soon, yes.
Like how soon?
I don't want to tell you that. I don't want to tell
It's
you
big
that.
news.
What is that?
It's going down to 4,000, isn't it?
No, I've always said...
Well, what about Election Day?
We will get largely out.
On Election Day, how many American troops will be in Afghanistan?
Probably anywhere from 4,000 to 5,000.
That's almost as many as when you came into office.
No, it's not.
8,000.
We had
came
much
in.
more. We had a lot of people over there, too.
8,800.
A lot of people. And we did a good job. We wiped out ISIS.
Have you thought about going down to zero?
Let me just tell you what you don't say. We took out in Syria, we took out ISIS. We 100% of the caliphate. When I took over Obama, it was totally rampant. ISIS was all over the place. We took them out, we captured them, we killed them. 100%, not 99%. Right. I want to get out at 99. Right. Everyone said, oh, please, would you stay? I stayed. 99% was good, but 100% of the caliphate. We took out Soleimani. We took out al-Baghdadi. We took out people that nobody thought possible. Al-Baghdadi was the biggest terrorist of them all. They couldn't find him. I took him out. Soleimani, even bigger. I took him out. I've done things that no other president's done. Fortunately, not too many. They should have never been in the Middle East. The decision to go to the...
He didn't take them out. Service members took them out.
Middle East and get into the Middle East was the single biggest mistake made in the history of our country. That's my opinion.
You told Fox News recently that you couldn't say whether you'd accept the results of the 2020 election.
Oh, here we go.
What does that actually look like as the sitting president? I mean, it's unprecedented. What would that actually look
Hillary
like?
Clinton never accepted him.
She conceded on. She conceded
still
on.
Doesn't accept him, and she got
That's the
beaten
important
very
point.
easily.
That's the important point. She conceded on election night. Now she grumbled about it and said all sorts of
grumbled. She
okay,
wrote books
fine.
about it.
She wrote books.
Don't use the word grumbled.
Fine,
but she wrote books about it.
That's fine, but
and she got beaten easily.
I get it. I get it.
306 to 223.
I'm not disputing you beat Hillary Clinton.
That's a lot.
Listen, what I'm asking is you'll be the sitting president in the White House. What does that look like?
I'll tell you what it looks like.
Are you litigating?
Let me tell you what it looks like. So we have a new phenomena.
It looks like a big baby. That's what it looks like. It looks like, well, actually it looks like a dude who's scared that people are going to come after him.
It's called
if he doesn't win.
Mail-in voting, where you send where a governor.
It's been here since the Civil War.
In terms of the kind of millions and millions of ballots, they've never.
It'll be bigger this year because of the pandemic.
Bigger, not bigger, massively bigger.
Yeah, because of the
pandemic. So they're going to send tens of millions of ballots to California, all over the place. Who's going to get them? I have a friend lives in Westchester County.
They send applications, not that.
His son passed away. He had a beautiful, wonderful son, young man, passed away 7 years ago. He called me. He said, "I just got a ballot
Probably
for
an
my
application.
son Robert. He died 7 years ago. Somebody got a ballot for a dog. Somebody got a ballot for something else. You got
Really?
millions of ballots going. Nobody even knows where they're going.
They do
you
know.
look at some of the corruption having to do with universal mail-in voting.
There's not a lot of
Absentee
corruption.
voting is okay. You have to apply. You have to go through a process.
You have to apply for mail-in.
Absentee
It's the
voting
same
is
thing.
good. Look,
Let's do concrete. Let's do concrete.
they're sending out
Applications.
governors
Download them.
millions of ballots.
No, they're not.
There
It's
is-
applications. You can get them
There
off the
is
internet.
no way you can go through a mail-in vote without massive cheating.
I honestly don't understand this topic with
Go
you.
ahead.
The Republican Party has an extremely well-funded vote-by-mail program.
Yeah.
Your campaign
They used to be
puts
for
out
it.
emails telling people to vote by mail.
Correct.
Your daughter-in-law, Lara Trump, she did robocalls in California saying it's safe and secure mail-in voting.
Let me tell you.
The Republican
we have
won.
no choice.
That was an all-mail-in race.
Let me tell you. You ready?
Yeah.
We have no choice because right now we have many court cases that we're waiting. We have one filed in Western Pennsylvania. We have many court cases where we're trying to end it. We went through World War I.
Where they're
you went
trying
the
to
polls,
end
you
it.
voted. We went through World War II. You went to the polls. You
Had
voted.
mail-in voting
And now,
since the Civil
because
War.
of the China virus, we're supposed to stay home.
China virus.
Send millions of ballots all over the country, millions and millions. You know, you could have a case
That was literally dog whistle.
where this election won't be decided on the evening of November 3rd.
Absolutely.
This election could
What's
be
wrong with that?
decided 2 months later.
It won't be 2 months. What's wrong with the proper
It could
mailing
be
count?
decided many months later.
Have you discussed
You know
with-
why? Because lots of things will happen during that period of time, especially when you have tight margins. Lots of things can happen. There's never been anything like this when you try. Now, of course, right now we have to live with it, but we're challenging it in many courts,
You're
as
gonna
you know,
litigate.
all over the country.
Mr. President, the other day a reporter asked you about Ghislaine Maxwell. You said, quote, "I just wish her well, frankly. I've met her numerous times over the years, especially since I lived in..."
All right. I don't know if I can do the last 12 minutes of this. So, okay. Here is my take on it. Basically, as far as this mail-in voting thing, I think he's really gonna try to stall or stop or something. He doesn't want to actually get this election. He doesn't want election night to come. Now, I said in my last video that people are going to vote regardless. Like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Like, I will risk getting COVID to go stand in line and vote him out. And I think there are millions of people just like that too. And it's really, I don't know, it's worrisome, but it's also infuriating that we have literally allowed a tyrant or a wannabe tyrant to run this country. Like, we should really be ashamed of ourselves for letting this dude win, over whatever. There was a lot of dynamics back then. But I'll leave you with this. This is not normal times. I mean, the last time, just look at the pandemic. The last time that we have had a pandemic was 100 years ago. I don't really know anyone who was alive 100 years ago. I mean, there probably are some people, but it's rare. So most of what we know is based on the history books. This is historic. This will be in the history books. People will ask us, how did we survive COVID? How did we do that? And in the middle of it, we have a presidential election on top of that. We have a president who is obviously racist And he made the whole situation a lot worse with the protests that were going on. And it's really been a really, really, really crazy year. So my point is, it's not normal times. If you think it's normal, I don't know what to tell you at this point. I mean, just look around. We need to vote this guy out. We need to. Like, that's just what it is. And not for politics. Not because I think Biden is a better person. I honestly want to vote this guy out. Well, there's many reasons, but the main reason is I want somebody to go in there and take care of this situation with the pandemic. I do want my life to go back to normal. I adapt well to change, and I have been adapting well to the situation that has been going on. I've been, my kids they haven't adapted as well, but they're children. They want to go out. However, I don't want to be living like this forever, or at least not for a long time. And we need a good leader who's going to go in and who's going to sit there and say, no, this is what we're doing. F your feelings. We're following the science. Now, Trump talks about he follows science, but he doesn't. He follows whatever the crazies on the right and the racists are saying. That's what he follows. That's who follows him, So we need a leader who's going to take charge, who's going to actually take care of everything and start to bring us back to normal. Start to be like, to say, the faster we do this, the faster we get back to normal. It's really, that concept is actually very simple, but it has become politicized, obviously. And he is literally, with his craziness, he is literally killing people, honestly. He's wanting to be this tyrant. And then as far as, I already talked about the whole military thing. They were about to go into the topic of the sex trafficking that Trump was probably a part of. But anyways, that is most of what I got. So I hope you enjoyed it. This is kind of different. I've never sat there and did kind of a reaction type thing. It wasn't like sharing my screen or anything. I went old school. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked my take. And please don't forget to like my video, subscribe to my channel. I know I say that, but for real, it gets around a lot more like that. So don't forget to vote, you guys. Don't forget to get registered to vote. I know it's a crazy time. I had the paper that came in just a few days ago where it said to apply to get my ballot. And honestly, I'm mulling it over. I don't know. I don't know if this dude is going to stop this crap somehow. I don't know if he's going to try to invalidate a lot of mail-in voting. I don't know. All I know is that no matter what, I'm going to vote. And it might just have to be in person. That's going to be up to you guys to decide what's best for you and decide, risk versus reward. So but that shouldn't discourage you from voting, because either way, even if he tries something, it will be contested, and eventually our votes will count. So if it's over for him, it's gonna be over by January 20th of next year. He will be out of there. So, anyways, everybody keep strong, keep safe, stay healthy, and vote. And I will catch you guys next time.